Merry meet and welcome, everyone. I am Sirona Rose. I am the show host to the AstroTarot Report show on the Cauldron Radio, and that's at thecauldron.net. That information will be listed below. My show is every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I do invite you to join me. We will have an astrology reading as well as a tarot reading, bringing the energy of the celestial messages down to earth, as above, so below. Now, I want to recap what we went over in our last show. We talked about our full moon in Virgo, which is very opposite energy, as it is a square, to Pisces. So, Virgo rules our nervous system. It also is our intestines. Virgo likes to gather information and then process it and turn it into something that is of practical use, something that is going to be really solid and really good for us to use. Virgo's planet is Mercury, and it's the mind, it's the messenger. Now the key word is practical. Now Pisces is a little different. Pisces planet is Neptune. And Neptune is known as the Hollywood planet because of its illusions. It's a dreamy light state. So when you're dealing with Virgo, the realist, and Pisces, that is not very sure and kind of dreamy, you can see how the two can square. Now, what we don't realize here, and this is a real good time to do this, is to notice the things that are hidden. There are many illusions in our physical world, but we just don't really look at it. We want to see the meat and we ignore the bone. We ignore the inner workings. And that full moon could have really shined the light on a lot of things that you didn't want to see. It could have exposed things that were hidden that you probably could have went on without noticing. Now, it could very well shine the light on some addictions or bad habits that you need to take care of and get rid of. So that was a really good moon for that. In the show before last, I spoke of the age of Pisces and what that Pisces energy brought to the planet. At that time, in the age of Pisces, it brought about Islam and Christianity, those monotheistic religions. And it was also a time when the West and East met up. It was a joining of these two, as this is when trade began. Now, while Pisces is that sacrificial type energy of service of others, putting others before yourself, Virgo is focused inward. It's about taking care of self first. And here, this is a good time that you can go inside and really do that work that you need to do. It is a wonderful opportunity to step into ourself. Now, this isn't outside energy. This is all inner, the inner parts of you, yourself. I also touched on Chiron, and if you follow me on my Instagram or on Facebook, you are already seeing this. I do try to put as much information as I can in highlights to let everyone remember what is going on. Chiron is known as our wounded healer. He connects us to wounds from our childhood that can psychologically influence us as adults. Chiron was officially discovered in 1977 by Charles Carroll, and it was recorded in drawings and writings as far back as 1885. In Greek mythology, Chiron was held to be superlative centaur amongst all of his brethren. He was called the wisest and the justest of all the centaurs. He was a healer and a teacher, but ironically, he could not heal himself. Now, Chiron takes 50 years to do a complete orbit through the zodiacs, and he orbits in between Saturn and Uranus. Now, he made his move into Aries. And in this placement, he will be examining our weakest points and presenting challenges to help us heal from these wounds. Those of you that are born between January 30th, 1969 and May 28th, 1976, that was 1976, this will be your Chiron return. And it can give you some of that midlife crisis feeling. Chiron return brings you back to that deep wound and those hard challenges that you need to take a closer look at and that you need to really work through and heal. This is a good placement at this time because of our North Node being in Cancer. It's a lot of nurturing and healing energy. Now, January's eclipses brought us new start. Indeed, it caused a lot of chaotic energy, a lot of stuff that happened in our lives that was just crazy for a lot of people. Now, our Aquarius new moon we had gave us a real rejuvenation energy. It awakened our sense of self. Now, as the sun shines upon the moon on a full moon, it's going to show us an inner illusion, our wound. So when Chiron moved into Aries at this time, there will be more energy that is directed toward the self and our body. This is a great time to begin taking those new steps into healing ourselves. It's a new energy, and it could really feel like you're releasing baggage, that's something that you've been holding on to for a long time. So it's a very newness type energy. Now, this energy wants us to acknowledge where we are in our life. It wants us to be proud of what we've worked through, the hard work that we've done. Yes, we may have made mistakes. Yes, we may have, done things that we look back at and say, I shouldn't really have done that. I made a big mistake. But it has brought you to where you are now. So be kind to you. Be compassionate to you. Acknowledge all that work that you went through. You survived all that turmoil to be where you are now, and that is something that you should be very proud of. It is saying, look what you have done, and look how far you have climbed up this mountain. Be proud of you. And this energy really wants us to focus more on our core of who we really are, our innermost self. It is a time that when we say we're unique, we say we have these gifts, what are you doing with them? This is a time that's saying, okay, you're talking the talk, but now it's time to walk the walk. And this is the energy that we have come into this year with. Beginning of the year, Mars moved into Aries. That was wonderful energy to start a new year. So we have an ending of certain type of energy and a beginning of a brand new type of energy. One thing that came to my mind, and I have quoted this several times on my show, is about the Emperor card. Now, Aries is the sign of the Emperor card in the regular tarot. And he advises us that if we want to excel at something, we first have to start at the beginning. He says that many of those who create tools to create something in their life think that the power and the ability lie within the tool itself. But when the would-be warrior learns to wield the sword, he learns the power lies with him, and therefore all responsibility for that power lies within him and his action. And when I sit and think of Chiron in Aries, and I feel that healing of the masculine energy, that really brought up the Emperor card to me. So masculine energy can be very touchy because of the patriarchal energy that we do live in now. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about masculine energy. And just like feminine energy, masculine energy can be taken to its extremes, to the polarity of it. And it can be too mushy or it can be too harsh. In the world that we have been living in, or I should say the age that we have been living in, meaning the Piscean age, because we've now entered into the Aquarian age, I see it's a great position to allow a harmonization of it. I feel a healing of the negative patriarch energy. And as it goes at healing those shadow masculine energies, it can bring about insecurities where we felt that we needed to prove ourselves, not being sure or being confident of yourself. And that can hit some vulnerable spots. You know, Chiron is known as the Achilles tendon. So it can, in essence, mean that the one thing that you've really been at war with has been yourself. So this is really good time at looking at our ego and looking at where we are in our balance scale. We want that harmonic balance in our lives. True, we can't always have complete balance, but we can strive to kind of stay in that center point. And the ultimate message here with Aries and Chiron, at its true and highest expression, it's telling you to be the best you that you can be. Live out your core. Live it out loud. Know who you are. And I really urge you to tune in this Thursday night, because I'm going to go into some more depth with this, because we are having Uranus making a movement. So this is really adding to what's going on. As Uranus and Mars had a conjunction about a week ago. I can't remember the exact date, but they had the conjunction and they had a wonderful little conversation. So as Mars moved into Taurus, Uranus is coming behind him. So tune in Thursday night and you'll find out more about that. Over last weekend, Venus had a conjunction with Pluto. Now, Venus is receiving energy. She shares love. Venus is how we relate to others. And now she is still making her transit through Capricorn, and she's with Saturn, so she's all business here. This is not exactly a comfortable placement for her, because Venus she likes to have fun. She likes to feel good. And Capricorn, especially with Saturn in that same sign, is really making her get down to business. Pluto is our Lord of the underworld, and he represents power. He is regenerative forces of destruction, but in order to make a complete transformation. So what this is saying is that Pluto likes to come in and just wipe the slate clean so he can build, renew, and refresh and make better. There's two sides of Pluto. It's destroy and create, or destroy in order to create. Pluto gets such a bad rap, but I will say I love Pluto energy because it gives us that opportunity to completely demolish what we thought, what we had, what is not working for us anymore. Just completely get rid of it and build something new. And that's wonderful energy to have at this time, at the beginning of this year, and bringing that into the rest of the year. With Venus, she is really getting down to the nitty-gritty with herself, and she's taking her power back. She's transforming into something better than her past self. She is also wanting to connect with others that can help her make these changes within herself. So pay attention to those chance meetings. And Capricorn is about practicality. Venus wants fun. So our relationships are not going to be about going after the fun. We want the real. So Venus is wanting something that is lasting. It's real. Before she can play, she's got to know that she's standing on solid ground. She won't waste her time. She is a changed woman after her meeting with Pluto, and she knows what she wants. Mars moved into Taurus, and that is helping him tend to himself a little bit. He's getting loose and he's relaxing. He's becoming grounded and real. And Chiron is aiding in this for this deep healing as well. So we have a lot of healing that is going on between our zodiac lovers, Mars and Venus. But now Mars is also learning a good lesson here, and it's how to slow down and to reserve his energy. You know, Mars is all action. He likes to go. He's that burst of raw potential energy, of unlimited possibilities. And Taurus doesn't really like that change. I mean, sure, he's moving forward, but it's slow and steady. He likes repetition. He likes things as they are. He don't really care for change that much. And this warrior is learning how to simmer, to go slow and steady rather than just blasting his energy out everywhere. He's learning to pick his battles. And this is more of an inner working too. It can be more of learning what you need to let go of and what you need to deal with. But I can see that it's starting to be played out here on Earth. For us here in the United States, if you remember, this energy is playing out in more of a kind of a balancing energy, just what I said before. Now, what I mean by that, the healing of the masculine energy with Chiron, okay? Now, for us in the United States, remember, it wasn't until 1920, until the 19th Amendment came about, that granted women the right to vote. So you see, the energy is unfolding of women being second to men. It's unfolding. But remember, we can't go too crazy here because we have to stay within that moderation, because feminine energy can be taken to extreme as well. Moderation. We must always remember moderation, especially as Mars and Venus are going through these types of healings. It can create intense insecurities within both sexes. So we need to acknowledge that about ourselves, and we need to understand our own responsibility. Another thing that the Emperor card reminds us is that power is never to be a goal, but a resource within you that you can access if you understand order and responsibility. On the 22nd, Mercury in Pisces formed a square with Jupiter in Sagittarius. That could cause a lot of emotional reactions. On the 23rd, Mercury in Pisces sextile Pluto in Capricorn. Now, while all this time, Pluto is conjunct Venus. And this placement wants us to leave the past where it belongs and build a new foundation, leaving the emotional blocks behind us. We will be aligning our mind with our heart and making decisions that will guide us to our highest outcome. We are wanting long-lasting and emotionally fulfilling things and our people, relationships, and our lives. On the 28th, brings us much needed peaceful energies as the sun will continue traveling through the spiritual waters of Pisces, where it will be tapping into our intuitive, compassionate inner self. All this while forming a sextile with Mars and Taurus. This can be a very sensual energy. It could be a great time for romantic getaways with your lover. It could be a time to reconnect with past lovers, maybe a past flame that's still there. It could also be a time to get some rest, something that's very much needed for a lot of people. So slow and steady is the pace here. Now I'll go on to the tarot part of the show. The first card, the overall energy, is the Seven of Cups. I hope you can see that there. The Seven of Cups. I love this card. This is one of my favorite cards of the deck. But it's time to pick where you want to go. Now, cups represent emotions, so we need to make sure that the decision that we are making not only will be financially fulfilling to us, but also emotionally. Remember, you're the master of your life, and only you can make this choice. Many times others will try to sway you on your thoughts and your wants, so be careful of that. Not everyone is there for your best interests. You need to recognize what is real and what is an illusion. When we think of illusion, we think of Hollywood and the fantastical shows, and that's that Piscean energy. And Neptune is in Pisces at this time. That's our water sign here. So be careful about illusions. Don't fool yourself. Be wide-eyed. And you may have opportunities present themselves to you that were just out of the blue. You do have many doors that are available to you, but you need to choose wisely. The number 7 on this card is the seeker of seekers. And the 7 urges us to see unlimited possibilities. It's the number of the mystic. It never takes things at face value. It does not seek the superficial. It wants the real and true, the true authenticity of it. It is the truth seeker of universal truth. And this card is definitely saying that you have many things before you and you need to pick one and you need to focus upon that. You don't want scattered energy, you want focus. Our second card, which is our conscious energy, is the world. And this is another card I really love. It's got the green man on it, and it's got representative of each element in each corner. It's just a beautiful card. Now, this card is our conscious energy. So it is what we are conscious of. It's what we do see. And this is a major arcana. And it's about a rebirth, a regeneration of self. And for this placement, it's acknowledging the path or the journey that you have taken. All steps has led you to where you are now. I'm sorry about that. I hope you can see that. It's a beautiful card. This is the end journey of the Fool. So, it is acknowledging the journey that you have taken and remembering it's calling you to be proud of what you've done, all the hard work you've done. You are justified in seeking a reward or compensation for stuff as well. You are not in the same place that you were a year ago, but be proud of that. And if you've been working at achieving something and you did achieve it, celebrate yourself. You know, being boisterous is one thing, but being proud of yourself and tooting your own horn is a different thing. I know a lot of us were taught not to be a braggart, but this kind of counteracts all the work that we do sometimes. Like I said, there's a difference between being a braggart, being boisterous, and just being proud of yourself and going out, look what I've done. On this card, the number 21 is on it, if you can see that. It's the Roman numeral 21. Now, 21 has root energy of the number 3, and that is all about creation. So for some, it is also a product of the number 7, which is the seeker of seekers. It's the truth. It's the authenticity of it all. So 21 is the manifest. It is the physical manifestation. It is the spiritual becoming physical. It is the ultimate fulfillment of a long spiritual journey of the soul. It is the spiritual transformation. Now, our unconscious energy is the Knight of Wands. Now, this card is always interesting as it has the sun setting on one side and the sun rising on the other. It's almost as if he's right there in that in-between energy. And wands represent fire. So, this is a really good card too. He's wearing gold armor. I'm trying to get you to see that. There's a glare on it. There you go. And this is about energy heating up. This card heralds an energy change. It's about movement. So, and we are having shifts. And this is unconscious energy. So this is something that you're not aware of. So when I'm talking about these shifts that are happening, you know, with Mars, and now, you know, March is going to herald a shifting with Uranus. We just had a shifting with Chiron. So there are changes happening. So it also tells us that if we want something, we can't just sit and just wait for it to come to us. We have to actively go get it. This card also denotes a time of travel. So if you've been needing to get away, this is a good time to get away. And this is unconscious energy, so this could be something that you may not have considered. And, you know, it also tells us that sometimes we just need to move on. We need to find our creativity. We need to, we've become stagnant in some things. It's time to move past. It's time to release. It's time to let go of that we're not needing and just go on forward to manifest what we do. We've been having to deal with a lot of change. Different kinds of energy, and we're urged here to embrace these changes and to see them as wonderful opportunities instead of the burden, and enjoy this journey. Truly enjoy this journey. Enjoy the unfolding. You know, what is your passion? What do you like to do to have fun? And in order for us to live differently, in order for us to truly make changes in our lives, we have to do differently. We have to change our perceptions. We have to see the other side of the coin. We have to look at things at its entirety. This energy is that of making a bold move, and it's time to face those fears, heal them, arise, and work at finding solutions to problems. It's time to go forward. Now, this is an awesome energy card for stagnant energy. It's one to get you to shake things up, because he's coming at us. If you'll notice, he's coming at us at a full gallop. So it's time to shake it off, get things moving. Let's move on. There's growth coming, but you got to go get it. Now, our challenge, which really didn't surprise me, given me all of the reading of the horoscope, the challenge card did not really surprise me, and it is the shadow card. Now, in this card, you can see the two people that are crunched down, and they're hiding from this masked figure that's coming. This card is the same as the Devil card in the traditional decks. Now, interestingly, this card was in the same placement on the show and the reading that I did for September the 27th, 2018. Now, the deck that I'm using is the Witch's Tarot by Ellen Dugan. And she explains that the reason that she doesn't use the Devil card is because as witches, we do not recognize a devil. We do recognize a shadow self. So that is her purpose of using this card instead of the devil, and I think it's a great concept, because witches do not believe in the devil, so why would a devil card be in a witch's deck, right? But this is also telling us that our actions and our choices have led us to where we are now. You know, we see these figures that are crouched behind and hiding, that they're so focused on, fear and panic that they're not even comforting each other. They're caught up in running. They're caught up in this hiding from this fear. And they don't even see the light. If you'll see, the light there is showing them the way out. They do not seek refuge in each other. They only see the darkness and the fear. This card can represent addictions. It can represent distractions, things that we tie ourselves to. This card also tells me in a reading that for someone to be very careful what you bind yourself to. And it was what I talked about in astrology. While Chiron is in Aries and Venus is communicating with Pluto, what is in the shadows behind the veil will be exposed. So it's best to deal with them, stand up and deal with them. And that's going to be a challenge because, working through our fears and working through our addictions, our bad habits, it's hard. It's hard for a lot of people for many different reasons. But I will say that, my grandmother always told me that it all comes out in the wash, and all things will eventually come to light, and you must deal with it. We have certain fears that hold us back, certain things that we were told, through our lives that have caused blocks, that have kept us from advancing to where we wanted to go. Maybe there was someone that kept telling you you weren't good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, whatever. We can no longer allow these outer influences to hinder us, and it's time to take control of our lives, take that back. And that's what Venus is doing, taking back that control when she's visiting Pluto. So the Roman numeral 15 is on this card, and it breaks down to 6. And 6 is about unconditional love. It's healing, it's nurturing, it's the energy of the ultimate Earth Mother. It's compassion and empathy. It's responsible. It's the caretaker. It is the energy which holds the pieces together. And in this placement, you're going to be challenged with having to deal with some shadow work while maintaining empathy and gentleness and compassion for yourself. Being too hard on yourself right now is not going to benefit you. It will allow this energy to have control over you. Be nice to you. And I'm not saying about, completely being narcissistic. Like I said, we're looking for moderation. I'm talking about being self-full, treating yourself kind and loving. And it may not be easy, but it will be worth it. Now, the message from Spirit is the 10 of Pentacles. And this is a wonderful card right here. This is beautiful. You see the parents back here, and they're staring at the grandfather and the baby. I hope you can see that good. And he's passing on a spark. This card is about family, and it's also about that which you will reap what you have sown. And if you look at the background back there in the well-manicured yard, it also says that those things that you cherish, you need to nurture. If you have relationships that you cherish, if you have those friends that are with you, it's time to cherish those. Always remember that your actions and your choices will matter on down the road. They will pave your future. They will pave your journey forward. This is about commitments. It is, and it links us to the Venus in Capricorn right here, because she's committing to herself. She's being serious. She's being real. It's committing to those things that, bring us joys, our goals. Magic is happening all around us every day. We have multiple opportunities around us. We just have to choose to see it, to embrace it. The number 10 is on this card. It's the number 1, and that is considered like the God number, the I am. It's considered a divine number as it connects humankind to the spiritual realm. This is a very significant card because the number 1 is the energy of overworking oneself and setting too high of goals for yourself. So watch out for that. The energy is innovative, it's original, it's the pioneer, it's the leader. The energy drive behind this number is very strong and it's very determined. Now, some numerologists do not break this number down, and they consider number 10 a karmic number. It reminds us that, like I said before, you will reap what you have sown. And as he is, has a little spark here, and he's passing it on to his grandchild. See if you can see that. He is passing on his knowledge. He's passing on what he has learned. He's committed to himself, and he's committed to his family, and he's passing on that knowledge that he has learned. Now, the underlying energy is the Page of Pentacles. This is a beautiful card as well. Pages are a young energy, and they represent that push energy. They're not like the raw energy of aces, but it's determination and willpower. Now, pentacles represent earth, and all pages are connected to earth. So here we have a double earth here. So we are looking at self. It calls about supporting ourselves as well. So this card calls our attention to learning, to connecting more with nature, and it's about manifesting. It's how you're going to manifest. This is about being aware of what materially supports you, as well as it could be a new beginning, one that will bring a better financial blessing to you. It's about being aware of your physical health as well. This is the energy of putting down plans, to pursue those dreams that you want to go after. It's looking how to practically move forward and achieve them. This page is a scholar. He's a student, or she, on this card is she. So for some of you, this underlying energy could be one of you need to study more. If you need to take a class, find a mentor. It's more about grounding your knowledge and making it more stable and more secure for you in order to use it to use on your journey of what you are trying to manifest for you. This doesn't necessarily point to the fulfillment of your dream, okay? But it's the energy to make it happen. It's what you need in order to make you happen. So it's a really great card as well. This is a really good reading, and I really enjoyed reading this, and it was wonderful to see how it really connected to the astrology part of it. Now, the energy of the Fae, and I am using the Wild Wisdom of the Fairy Oracle deck by Lucy Cavendish, and I really like this deck. It's really a beautiful, beautiful deck. And this is Crystal Magic. This is about creation. It's the dawn. It's the beginning. And this card is basically saying that, it's time. It's time for a new beginning. This is where all life begins. It's about singing your own song. It's an end of chaos. It's the freedom of movement. It's grace, and it's unlimited, meaningful activity. Now, in her book, she talks about the beginning and of this fairy. And she says, in the beginning, there was one fairy in a crystal chamber where all the souls of the world would be birthed. And she danced and drew forth from one shining stone a soul, which she blessed and set free into the world. This is the fairy of creation, of the very beginnings of all things, of the source, of the thought, of the spark, of the birth, and of the magic of your connection to source. So, wow, that combined with the astrology, that really kind of tied it together. It is that Plutonian energy of wiping the slate clean and recreating, rebirthing, rejuvenating. So That is the it for that. Please join me Thursday, February the 28th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll talk about the next week coming up. We have a new moon that's coming up. We have Uranus shifting. We've got a lot of stuff going on. So join me Thursday night on thecauldron.net. I will put the links below. I do have a blog as well that I do updates on. I'll also put my Instagram page up, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, please give me a thumbs up, and follow me. Thank you so much for watching, and again, I hope you enjoyed. Have a blessed day.